Hello, everyone, to another installment in DataBank's leadership series. And today we're talking about employee engagement in a data-driven world. We'll also talk about best practices for the new year. Our subject matter expert is Paul Myott. He's the Vice President of Organizational Effectiveness and Internal Communication. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, Judith.
So before I get into the questions, let's just do this. We're going to stipulate to the immense value of employee engagement, right? Increases productivity and job satisfaction and recruiting success. There's data for low turnover rates and even contributing to higher earnings. We're going to stipulate to all of that. Now let's get into our questions. With organizations becoming more data driven, how has that shift toward a more data-driven workplace change the way organizations approach employee engagement?
Yeah, this is a great topic. I'm really happy you brought this up because, um, this tremendous shift towards AI and, data, right? It's been coming for years, but also there's been a shift over the last, I would say, 10 years, in organizational wellness and in employee well-being, which has been such a welcome thing for my area of work, right? And I think it's just has become such a groundswell around taking care of our employees, like we take care of family members. So, but you asked me in particular the shift towards data-driven workplaces, right? And you can't have that conversation now without talking about AI. So a couple areas that I see evolving, right? And what I'm get kind of happy and jazzed about here are really the employee experience and making it more personalized. AI and data analytics allow organizations really to understand their individual employees' preferences, work styles, what stresses them out. These are all things that we typically have done at the macro level with employee surveys over the years. And some folks have gotten really good at parsing out these things, but you can't really usually identify the individual in that vast pool of data, right? So AI and data analytics allows us to dive down deeper and look at the employee experience at the individual level, right? And then tailor things like wellness programs and learning opportunities and career development paths, right? So coupling that with things like predictive analytics around well-being, or there's a new term in the industry that we like to use now around whole being, meaning we take care of the employee holistically at the financial well-being, their physical well-being, their career aspirations, et cetera, right? So I think using data analytics and AI and predictive modeling will help organizations become more proactive and predictive around tracking risks associated with employees, right? Like burnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just simply looking at work hours, meetings on calendars, right? How HR and people-centered functions in the organization respond to employees. These are all going to become more automated and quicker, right? So you can identify those hot spots within an organization, right? And then the last area I say that I'm really looking forward to is around career growth or professional development, right? I know there's a slew of AI-powered career pathing tools that are hitting the market now, right? From these learning organizations. So where you can start to really tailor an employee's career growth path and map that to learning opportunities, it'll just become faster. It'll be more proactive. And again, it'll be personalized with AI, data analytics, et cetera. So those are things that I'm really kind of excited about to see evolve.
So am I, and you've taken me on a different track because when I was preparing for these questions for you, your first thought, you think data depersonalized. right? And now you've said that appropriate application of the tools actually helps us personalize it more, and that's very exciting. How about some examples?
Couple of examples I can think of that I've seen, right? Chipotle, everybody's familiar with Chipotle, the restaurant
Yeah.
chain, right?
Yeah.
Well, they've implemented an AI-powered virtual assistant. Love the name. It's Avocado is the
Ah!
last name. Pretty good, right? To help them with their hiring process and to streamline their hiring process, right? And this little tool that they built has increased the application, I believe they call it completion rates, right? So people submitting applications, and it's helped them reduce the time with which they assess the application and interview and bring people on board, right? So it's vastly reduce their onboarding time from application to onboarding.
Love it.
Another one I can think of, we're all are aware of Accenture, the massive
Mhm.
consulting practice, right? They have, you know, hundreds of thousands of employees, I believe, and they use it for skill tracking and development, right? They are constantly looking at ways in which they can, you know, assess, right, and then build personalized learning tracks for over 8,000 skills, I think it is, within their workforce, right? So vast amount of skills and library. And then the last one is there's a company, a small company founded by some former Google executives. I think it's pronounced Humu or Humu, but
How's it
Humu,
spelled?
Humu.
Oh, okay.
Sound it out as you like.
Umu, yeah, okay.
But they use machine learning also to send kind of personalized nudges to their employees, encouraging behaviors, that enhance things like happiness, on the job performance, and overall kind of well-being, like we spoke about earlier, which then translates to retention, right? And it's also a great recruiting tool, right? If you really show your employees that you care and you're doing it either through automated ways or personal touch, you're going to have a higher retention rate typically.
Well, this all sounds really good. I mean, better hiring, happier employees. Surely there's got to be a downside here. So, are there any psychological risks or challenges associated with relying too heavily on data to
Yeah.
measure engagement? I mean,
Yep.
can you rely too heavily on data?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in this area of employee engagement, well-being, culture, right? Those have all traditionally been people-centric, right? High touch and human touch
Mhm.
has been, the primary stakes there. So, and like most technological revolutions, it's going to take some time to kind of parse out where and when AI should be used in these functional realms, right? So I believe that companies will probably over-index and look to adopt AI in ways that enhance their bottom line and quote unquote productivity, right? But we have to remember that the risk here is that it can take the person out of the personalized experience
Mm.
or the human out of the humanized touch, right? So I think companies, if they push too far too soon, um, could leave their employees feeling a little bit less well and less human because they're dealing with technology versus the typical HR, and or people-centric functions within the organization, right? So you run the risk of taking the human side out of it. And where does that leave the employee? It leaves them feeling, less taken care of, less appreciated, and in some cases less recognized as me as a human being within the larger organization, right?
A disengaged employee, which is exactly what you don't, the exact opposite of what you want. You want more engagement and not less.
Yeah, the other risk is you, as we know, as time plays out, if you go too far in this area, you set a new culture for the organization. Basically, you're sending a message, an overt message that the technology and the bottom line may be a little bit more important than the
Mhm.
human side, right? So you have to be really careful there. And another area that is starting to play out, and unfortunately we're seeing it in government right now, our federal government is tracking folks day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour activities for what? For insights into productivity, what people are working on. Um, while that could have some benefit, right, in terms of redirecting resources to more important priorities, you run the risk of people feeling like they're being eavesdropped, spied on,
Sure.
etc. Right? So the fine balance here is making sure that you don't let the pendulum swing too far to the technology side and keeping the human touch in your quote unquote system, right? Your organizational system and striking that balance.
So let's take this down to the manager level. How can a manager balance that use of employee productivity analytics
Mhm.
with maintaining trust and fostering those authentic workplace relationships?
Sure. So there's two areas I would point out, right? I would say, as I just mentioned, making sure you continue to prioritize the human touch, the personal touch, right? And engage employees uh, in the same degree in which you did previously, or more so even. You may need to do it more so, right? So keeping those one-on-ones, making sure that you have the check-ins, celebrating wins personally in a in-person fashion, right? Those are the kind of things that can balance out when it's starting to feel like the technology is being enabled more so than in previous in the organization previously.
Okay.
The other thing I would say is um, making sure that the organization and leadership is always explaining why, right? So organizational change management is going to be huge for AI, right? Because you're introducing these new tools into the organization, you're evaluating data, right? So making sure, number one, that employees understand why you're implementing AI and or data analytics or becoming a more data-driven organization. To what end? How will that help the employee, right? It's going to help the organization, yes, great. But how does that then translate or trickle down to the employee? That is absolutely paramount as you go forward in adopting the more data analytics and more data. Um, and then the second thing is, as I said, you have to make sure as a leader in the organization that your people continue to feel safe and secure and feel like you care, right? So, however best you can continue to show them that you care about their well-being, right? And in whatever form or fashion that you use or feels comfortable to you, you really have to step on the gas there too as well.
So that's something that you would say, well, of course we need to do that, right? But now, given the use of data in this regard, it's more incumbent upon us to do this and maybe overcorrect a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Well, let's
Absolutely.
let's look to the new year. What do you believe will have the biggest impact on employee experience and employee engagement this year?
Yeah, I would say using data and using AI, excuse me, to drive that more personalized experience for employees and for customers, right? It doesn't just end with with employees, but showing employees that you're willing to take care of them, to go to a greater extent to appreciate what it is that they're trying to share with the organization or do for the organization, right? Whatever it is that you can do to enhance the experience, that's going to go a long way. So any technology in that area, I think, will really push the needle forward, right? And the other thing too that I'm actually a little bit excited about, especially in our world in data centers, right, is wearable technology, right, and Internet of Things. Releasing our employees from the mundane, from the rote type tasks that they have to do every day, and unleashing the creativity in them. And for us, right, for example, a data center tech with a set of Google glasses or whatever, walking around, doing, checks and showing people back in a separate location or even customers their rack, and doing smart hands type technology. I think it's phenomenal. Linking the customer who's not always sitting in the data center with their equipment in the data center through the tech, using wearable technology, I think is going to be a home run.
Yeah, I think Jen Curry Hendrickson talked about this a little bit at our recent sales kickoff.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then you extend, everybody's got a smartphone now, you extend the smartwatch and the fitness trackers, right, to the employee, and you've got a better employee wellness and productivity experience. Again, if it's used to reward and recognize the employee while helping them see opportunities to be more productive and more efficient, again, home run. I think that's that area is just ripe for the workplace, bringing that kind of stuff into the workplace.
Love it. Well, look, sounds like we have some exciting times ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just, I want to emphasize that I think personally, in this next generation of technology enablement, and AI, right, we have a really big opportunity with employees for well-being, engagement, et cetera, all those things we've talked about. If they are used to enhance the employee experience while making the organization more productive, more creative, more innovative, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You cannot implement this technology and make that a secondary priority. You have to continue to put the employee first.
We talk about this a lot on my team. Make sure you're using your powers for good. Good. All right, great stuff.
Nothing less, Judith, I would expect.
All right, everybody. This is another, as I said, another in our leadership series. You can look for other videos or articles by going to databank.com. If you click on the resources section and you search for leadership, or you can even put Paul Myott's name in there, you're going to find a lot of great stuff. Thanks again, Paul.
Thank you.